Hi, this is Maginoni, and welcome to another edition of The Good, the Bad, and the Disappointing. This was a very difficult week because there was so much painfully bad books to read. But let's take a look and see what I managed to pull together. First off, the good, a surprise out of left field, Nailbiter. I am really enjoying Nailbiter by Image Comics. Basically what's going on here is this. There's mysteriously this one town. And it just seems like all of the serial killers are coming from this one area. So a cop goes there to investigate. Well, he contacts a buddy of his who's basically needs to go in for a murder charge, who happens to be a cop. And he says, look, I'm onto something, I need your help. The cop goes out, and his buddy's missing. And this is basically what they find after. Like, they finally find out what happened to their friend, and it's pretty shocking what happened to him. Now, everything after this is basically they're laying down the foundation of who is the serial killer that's rampaging, killing people. Who is the nail biter? The one who's causing all the mischief. What does he know and what doesn't he know? And overall, I'm really happy with this issue. The art's really decent, the story is really good, and I just like this freshness. You know, it's like, for me, all the other books that came out, for the most part, while some of them might have been good, it just seemed like it's the same thing. Minor tweak here and there, but it's the same story that I've read 1,000 times before. But Nailbiter is just this refreshing, I guess you could say it's like a refreshing cake that you see in your refrigerator full of expired like lunch meat and pizza and whatnot. But anyways, highly recommend Nailbiter. You might still be able to find the first issues, but I know that the trade should probably be coming out somewhat soon. Highly recommend getting it. The bad. Well, Marvel, this isn't your week, because Original Sin number 8 was just horrible. This whole series was just horrible. You did not need to put this book out. Nothing would have mattered. You know, you didn't. This did not live up to its full potential. You know, there's supposed to be all these sins running around. Only a few titles got to be classified as a sin. But yet, apparently, Doctor Strange is like, there's a lot of sins that have been released, and there's a lot of mistrust. And I'm like, well, how about the mistrust really is because you're rampaging around destroying worlds and not telling anybody? You know, how about that? Let's lay that card out on the table. Because you never really address the other sins that are really going on. Just a couple of them. Now, I will say this, you know, the art is good, you know, even though Nick Fury kind of looks like a Cable. But there's just all these things that are flowing around that they're trying to misdirect you. Trying to go, aha, see, maybe this guy was or wasn't the person who really shot the Watcher. So by the time we get to the end, I'm like, you know what? Couldn't care less who killed the Watcher. That doesn't matter any longer. And the fact that you used, you know, that Midas guy and his daughter, it's like, they're so obscure. I mean, there's no sense that they're even involved in this thing. The fact that a small percentage of your fan base knows about this character, and you're forcing everybody to go buy the Captain Marvel trade just to figure out who these people are. It's ridiculous. And keep in mind, this trade's like out of print, so, or they probably put it back in print, but you know, it's old, you know, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then, you know, I just don't know. The ending, it was just really unsatisfactory too, because the whole point, you know, was Nick Fury's like, oh, you need to find somebody else to take my place since I do the evil that needs to be done to make the earth spin. And it was so obvious out of the group who was going to get picked. And when I saw it happen, I'm like, that ain't lasting. You know, like, maybe if you picked, like, maybe Moon Knight, you can get away with it because you know, you can cancel Moon Knight's book and the world still revolves. But you can't do the same thing with the person that's there. that he basically took over Nick Fury's spot. The whole thing, like I said, was just. I mean, I can see where they're doing something where they're trying to lay down like a new Watcher and things like that, but I don't know. I just feel this whole series was just unnecessary. It was a letdown, and if this is what they consider something that's good, I really fear Axis now, because like this is not coming into a good spot right now for Axis, and I wish they never came out with this book. Never did. Now let's go for the disappointment. And that is Green Lantern #1, Future's End, one shot. Now, here's my disclaimer. I'm sure there's a few of you your keyboard warriors out there who are already going, I don't know what you're talking about. This Green Arrow book was superior than anything you've seen in South because it was extremely well written, extremely excellent artwork. You are not the fine connoisseur that you claim to be. And I'm like going, well, yeah, you're right. This book really does have a lot of strengths to it. The art, I think, is fantastic. For me, Green Arrow, like Hawkeye and a couple other titles that, Marvel and DC put out, this deserves a little extra special love because it is something that's a little different. It's taking the superhero and not even a top tier superhero and trying to do something unique, challenging, and different. So I applaud all of that. And I really am, once I can free up some more fundage, I plan on buying some of these back trades. Because I really do think that, from what I've read of the Green Arrow series so far, it's fantastic. And this is why this is my disappointment of the week, in that this basically leads up to Future's End #1. And that Green Arrow's onto something. He learns about the island for Cadmus with all the Earth 2 superheroes, and he's preparing to do a mini invasion to free those superheroes because they're being experimented on. Well, as you can imagine, he meets up with Deathstroke, that Terminator, and then they battle, and the fight isn't even really good at all. But that's not the point. The point is that the fight's not supposed to be good. The point is, and here is the spoiler, the Green Arrow in Future's End #1 is not Green Arrow. It's somebody else entirely. It was all a setup. And I guess you can say, that just proves how smart Green Arrow is, because he is able to think 3 steps ahead of the Terminator and allow him to kill somebody who's not really Green Arrow so he can go about his evil schemes. But let's be honest here. Future's End started with a bang. You got this superhero dead. You had the Firestorm controversy. It was like, oh my god, this could happen. And then, of course, I remembered this is that maybe 5 years into the future thing. So I was like, okay, well, maybe they'll do something to save Green Arrow. And I'm like, why do I even bother thinking about it? Because he's alive, he's well, and I was really disappointed. Basically, I had a very low impression of Future's End, and it just knocked it down a couple blocks. Because I thought with Future's End, they were willing to take some chances and do something interesting, something different. They're killing off a superhero, and especially a Green Arrow. I mean, he's tied into Warner Brothers, the TV series, and so it had me wondering what were they planning, and the fact that he just set up a scheme to trick the Terminator. Well, it proves great genius on the part of Ollie, and I just felt that I didn't like the trickery, I guess you could say. And it really just it just put me in a bad funk, especially when you read Original Sin first, and you read this, and then you don't even want to deal with books for the week. Anyways, that's the good, the bad, and the disappointing. If you have any comments or questions, let me know. Like, share. Let me know what your good, bad, disappointing are. And I'll have some more reviews later. So until next time.